to the third Credit Summit India. This third summit reminds me of the first summit when we were planning that how to launch the CCRA. And we thought that it could be befitting that if we launch it through a summit. Today it's good to see that the summit has become institutionalized and that we look forward to come to this summit every year. It's also a challenge that in the Indian scenario, banks play a huge amount of role in credit dispersal. But whether it was oversight or whether it was just not in the format of the thought process during those days, banks always felt that, or the regulators always felt, that we could create specialized bodies to channelize credit into different sectors. And hence, when we were looking at priority sector lending or the lending to the rural sector, this huge amount of 40% of the adjusted net bank credit to go towards that sector was planned by the regulators. When we were looking at housing credit, we built an institution like the National Housing Bank. When we were looking at export credit, we built an institution like Export and Import Bank. And when we were looking at credit to the MSME sector, which is the sector itself has 50 million MSME functioning units across the country, when we were looking to channelize credit into this sector, we thought of institutions like SIDBI. When we were looking to channelize credit into the rural sector, we looked at institutions like NABARD. And in between, when the issue of non-performing asset came up, units which today have become very important, for example, CIBIL, which keeps the credit score, all these were institutionalized over the time. I think the missing link was, where are the people who will run these institutions? Where are the people who will have a skill set to take you through the journey of engaging with the small-scale industry, engaging with the micro, because their requirements, their approach are comprehensively different. We are lucky to be working in the capital markets. Today, NISM does around 22 certificates for the capital market, for the pension regulator, for the solvency board. We are the biggest certifiers in the country. Every year, we certify 200,000 professionals in the country. 200,000 every year. Out of these 22 certificates, 16 of them are mandated by the capital market regulator, by the pension regulator, or by the solvency board. And there is no way out. If you want to work in these sectors, you have to be certified. That is why most of the commerce colleges across the country prefer that when their students are going through a 2-year or a 3-year program, they do 4 or 5 certificates of NISM, which are mandated by the regulators, so that when opportunities of getting into a particular sector is there, they are the preferred candidates in the placement scenario. It was because NISM is the largest certifier in the country that this partnership with AIWMI was a very, very natural partnership. They were coming up with a certificate. They were discussing this certificate. They were talking about the credit research analyst and whether they can, how they can bring it to the Indian audience. And believe me, that started the concept of certification in the banking sector. When CCRA was launched, we had Deputy Governor Mr. Gandhi to launch the CCRA in the first Credit Summit. And that also saw the route of establishing a committee to create certification in the banking sector. Banking sector till now was being operated by generalists. And to bring in certified professionals, it was the vision of the governor, Dr. Raghuram Rajan, and the setting up of the committee happened. That committee took 2 years because it was a new thing for them to look at certification, which bodies would be engaged in creating these certificates, how we will roll it out. But as is the case, when they decided to do it, they announced it early this year, and they gave exactly 1 year to professionals to get themselves equipped in credit, in research analyst, in cybersecurity, in risk management, in treasury management, and gave them 1 year that before March of 18, we would like people to be certified if they want to work in these areas of operation. So today CCRA is one of the most recognized of the credit certificates, and we are making efforts that the professionals entering the market can avail of this certificate. So when the banking regulator was creating institutions, specialized institutions to channelize credit into the different sectors, and to also create platforms like the CIBIL, we never knew that the end part of the program is also coming up as fast as possible, and that was the Solvency Board. Before you had the specialized people getting into the market, the NPAs, which is as of today, that's the only news which we see in the market, which industry is becoming a part of that sector. And the Solvency Board has come with a bang. They launched their certificate of solvency professionals with NISM early last year. And today we already have around 1,500 professionals certified in this area, and every month approximately 300, 400 professionals are getting themselves certified in this area. So I would only suggest to the younger people who are sitting here, since we have the benefit today of MET associating with this credit summit, they have a large chain of educational institutions. And the students who are sitting here, you would be front runners if you take the certificate and become a part of the banking sector, if you so desire to join the banking sector or the financial sector at large. Financial sector in the last 3 decades has grown both in size as well as shape. Innumerous products have come into the market. Banked professionals have multiplied 5 times from 1990. Many of them are not very active, but with these big schemes like Prime Minister's Jan Dhan Yojana, or prior to that, you had the no-frills credit accounts. People have joined this banking, and the inclusion is happening at a very fast pace. And there was a statement Prime Minister Modi made that when this Jan Dhan account started, there was a feeling that whether there would be any money in these accounts or not. But there is a huge amount of money in these accounts. People don't know just what to do with it, but there is a huge amount of money. And he made a statement, I remember that it was on the 8 decades of celebration of the central bank. He said that by looking at these deposits in the Jan Dhan account, I can say loudly that हमने अमीरों की गरीबी तो देखी है जो बैंक में लाइन लगा के खड़े रहते हैं, लेकिन गरीबों की अमीरी जनधन अकाउंट से मैं देख रहा हूँ. This is the statement he had made while he was inaugurating the function of the 8 decades of central banking. So it has become a challenge, and I see that 19th century, if you wanted to be recognized, you had titles in front of your name. So Maharaj Dhiraj, Rai Saab, Shri Shri, all these were titles in front of your name. if you wanted to be somebody in the 19th century. Similarly, if you wanted to be somebody in the 20th century, you had an CA, company secretary, MBA written behind your name. In the 21st century, if you want to be somebody, it is only your name. And all the skilling which you would require to do all through your life as a student will only contribute to your development. You're not doing it for making your parents happy or your friends happy or your teachers happy. You're doing it to equipping yourself for being a better person tomorrow. And if today somebody exchanges visiting card, I still treat him as a part of the 20th century because we want to be communicated, some message has to be sent across. But if I want to look up our keynote speaker, I don't need his visiting card. I just need Professor Google to assist me to tell me who he is. And I will get all his information much more than what can be put on the visiting card. And I would feel it a privilege to meet XYZ. And hence it is very important that beyond the LinkedIn profile, you need to have something in the Google search which will come out when your name is searched for. But if you are just one of the millions, because your name is, actually if you are a Sandeep or a Sanjoy or a Aditya in India, there are at least 10, 12 million Sandeep, Sanjoy and Aditya in the country. But if you are the right person, your profile will come up. I don't have the eloquence of my previous speaker, Mr. Vijay Page, who spoke excellently on the subject, but I can only tell you 21st century is going to be a very interesting century. For us who go back in time, we used to wait for a scooter to come and we used to celebrate the allotment of the scooter which we got. Today, times are moving. Last 25 years, we have seen changes which has not happened in 2,500 years. And the pace of change is only going to increase at a much faster pace. I would request at least the young students who are sitting here, and I see quite a few of them, that treat 21st century with respect, equip yourself, and move forward. CCRA has the credit that it was launched by one of the deputy governors. Last year, the principal speaker was one of the deputy governors. This year, we had 2 keynotes speaking. I'm just substituting for Mr. Kanungo, who had promised to come, but had to back off at the last moment because there is a State Finance Secretary's conference also today, which he was suddenly called upon to address. And it was an important aspect, so he just requested that kindly put me as the principal speaker next year. I would come, but this year, let the other keynote speaker, who is equal in stature, Mr. Vaidyanathan, give the keynote address for the inaugural address, and both of us will meet again the next year. So at this juncture, I feel very, very much involved in the CCRA. We are working with AIWMI, with colleges, with banks to introduce this certificate. There are other bodies also who are working, and because the numbers are large, every year approximately 200,000 people join the banking sector at the entry point. And if these 200,000 have to be certified in credit, then we require many more agencies to look at this sector. So at this juncture, we are already 10 minutes late. It's a privilege to invite Mr. Vaidyanathan, who has been part and parcel of the financial sector for a very long time, and is currently the executive chairman of the Capital First. He will give you insights onto credit which you will actually feel the flavor of the keynote speaker. Thank you very much.